and then select the left foot and go constrain parent. Now if I open these up, they all have parent constraints on them. That means these locators will move with Monty, yeah? They're sticking there, yeah? So what I have to do next is I'm going to select these locators and I'm going to bake them out for, I think it's 16 frames. Is it 16 frames? It is 16 frames. 16 frames. Okay. So again, I go Edit, Keys, Bake Simulation. I'm just going to do 16 this time. 16 frames. And then I'm going to press. I'll make sure I can show you this on what happens. What I'm going to get. So I'm going to go Edit, Keys, Bake Simulation. Make sure this is 16. I'm baking on ones. Bake. And I get this animation here. Okay, so then I'm going to take these constraints, get rid of them, because now I have baked animation onto each of these, so you'll see they move with the feet. And now I'm going to reverse constrain them. Like I said, this is all explained in transferring an object from local to global space in another video, so I don't want to dwell on it here. I'm going to transfer the animation, this animation, back onto these controls, but in global space. So to do that, I select the body control, and I'm just going to delete the animation of this. The easiest way, just of the translate and rotates, the easiest way to do this, I find, one of the easiest ways, is to select them and go break connections. Then I'm going to take the pelvis locator, and this time I'm going to shift select the body control, and I'm going to constrain this back to the pelvis. So I'll go constrain parent, and these channels now go blue. Then I'm going to select the right foot, and just again breaking the connections on these channels, not on the toe roll, etc. I'm going to go break connections. Then I'm going to select the right foot locator, shift select the right foot controller, and go constrain parent. Then I will do the same thing with the left foot, breaking the connections on these channels, and then shift selecting the left foot controller, selecting the left foot, sorry, the left foot locator, selecting the left foot controller, going constrain parent. So now, and then of course I'm going to do the same thing with the master control, which was moving forward. I'm actually just going to delete the there is only animation on the Z translate, even though all these channels are keyed. Most of them don't have any animation on it. I'm just going to break the connections on all of these channels so that this is no longer moving. Now what we have is Monty will run away. Whoops. 1 second. Let me do that again. Break connections. There we go. Monty will now run away from the controller. So now the controller is on the ground, but we still have all Monty's animation. Okay. Now, and bearing in mind, if Monty was a different type of rig, we might have to bring in 2 locators also for the pole vectors here. But luckily Monty, we don't have to do this with Monty. Anyway, like I said, this is all explained in another video, so check it out. It is so we now have Monty moving in global space, as it's called. But now we have to put the animation back onto these controllers. So to do that, because we don't want these locators anymore, we simply select the controllers. And we're going to bake it back on. So Edit, Keys, Bake Simulation. Because now presently these controllers are being controlled by the locators. They're constrained to them. We want to get this animation in global space back onto the controls. So we press Bake, and then we've got the animation back on the controls, and we can delete these locators because we don't need them anymore. But now Monty is moving away from this control on the ground, yeah, which is what we want. Now we still have obviously a little bit of looping animation here, which I will get rid of. Curves pre-infinity constant, curves post-infinity constant. Yeah, so we've got this. Yeah, and our camera move. Okay, so we have this. Now, what we want Monty to do is to jump. So, let's have a look. In the orthographic side view, how does this work? So, Monty jumping. Well, what's going to happen? He's going to come forward, he's going to go down, he's going to go up. We want him to go quite far down for the jump up. Down. Let's pull him down quite a bit. Really far down for this. Really want him down. Oops, not above. Pull this forward a little bit. So I'm going to pull this down, dropping him down further, dropping this down. This idea that he's bending his head forward too. Also, when you're doing these things, you have to make sure you're not so I can see I want the head bending forward from say here. So let's see. I'm getting, you don't want one frame transition, so I kind of want, let's see, can I get this down further? Is that the rotate X? Okay, yeah, something like this. So we're going to get this kind of, you don't want one frame transitions in animation, you want to keep it, so we want to get that up, and then we want to drop down, we want quite a drop down on this. Let's see we've got it going down like that. What's going before this? Again, maybe like this. So you got this up, down. And then we want this to go down further. Because one of the things that when you're animating is you really don't see, sometimes it's worth pushing things, you often don't see subtlety, so you want a real, every action is equal and opposite reaction. You want to really get a sense that maybe have him going up higher just before the bound, so have him up even higher here. So you get a real sense that he's going to have to really come down. So that's also going to make the drop seem. Let's have a look at this. So he goes, yeah. Now, why did we bother? Putting him into global space? Well, one of the interesting things about having something in global space is you get an idea of how he's going to continue traveling at the same speed forwards, and presently, if I select this, the speed forward he would travel at, if I go to 20, a similar speed forward, I could say, would be like this, something like that. So like this. I mean, he's also going to go up, as opposed to simply going. He'll go up as well. So some of that momentum is going to be in the upward direction. Now, I'm just going to show you what this looks like. So if we just have him running forward like this, it looks a bit weird. But one of the problems when you do this, when you have is when you're animating like this, is you're going to have his feet trailing behind. And what you really want is you just want to get a nice idea of something that works in terms of you know, Monty's weight and how he's running. So what I normally do at this pace is I don't want to see the legs. I just want to see the body. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a kind of decoy. So I'm going to make a polygon's primitive sphere and make it a bit bigger. I'm just going to raise this up a bit. Okay, so it's roughly, so you know, it's roughly Monty's size. And I'm going to put that, I'm going to constrain this to Monty. To do that, I'm just going to select this, which is Monty's central control. Then I select the sphere, and I'm going to go constrain, and I'm going to make sure that maintain offset is off, and go parent. Oops, it's going to drop it down a bit. Actually, what I'm going to do, I won't do that. I think, actually, this looks about okay. I just want something to look similar to Monty's body. So I might actually just leave it there. Let's see what this looks like in perspective view. It doesn't look too bad. So okay, I'll just leave it there. I'll call this a decoy. And then I'm just going to constrain this with maintain offset off. On, sorry, to this controller. So I select the controller, then I select the decoy, and I'll go constrain parent, and I'll make sure maintain offset is on, I'm sorry, and I'll go apply. And now what I'm going to do is something quite interesting. I'm going to select Monty's geometry here. I'll just make sure I can select it by turning that on. So just as geometry, not the controls. I'll put them in a layer, and I'll call this Monty Geo, Monty A, because I'm going to bring in another Monty Geo. I'll make that green. Oops, have I changed the wrong layer? So I'll put it in this one, sorry. This one. Green Monty A Geo. Press save. And now look, I can turn this off and I will just have the ball, which will be doing exactly the same thing. So with that, those kind of straggly legs no longer there, I can just look, what do I want this ball to do? I want it kind of bouncing up. I want it bouncing over. Yeah, this is what I'm looking for. Okay, so I'm going to go back and go to this must control again. Just try and get this kind of working. So I want this to go. Well, what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to get this speed about right. So I'm going to get just the horizontal velocity. I'm going to get this. It'll be going over. Let me see. Curves post infinity. I'll make this linear just so I can get it kind of roughly right. So it's kind of like. Let's see what this looks like. Something like this. Okay. Something like that. Okay, so what I've done there is I've just taken the, I had this on constant, I've just changed this to linear so that this line will continue so I can get the speed about right. And then I'm going to put in a Y translate because presently, so I want this to go up, it's like a bouncing ball, so I want it to go up about, well, after frame 16 it's going to go up, so it's going to go up. But the midpoint is about frame 20, 21. So maybe I'll move this over here. And then it was going to land about, I don't know, 27. So there, okay? And so 21, I want this to kind of go up. Maybe not too high, you know, you kind of have to work out which thing is going to work. So maybe like that. And I want it to really just spring off the ground, so I don't want him to ease into the spring. So I'm going to break this tangent here. So I've got a real kind of spring here. So he's kind of springing into this. And of course when he lands, he's going to land. It's like the bouncing ball, you know, it's the same principles. Boom! And then he'll continue. So he should continue onwards. I'll get rid of that. So then you've got this, boom. Let's have a look at this, see what this looks like. It's also, without the legs, you get an idea if it's working. So, is it? Boom. Boom. That doesn't look too bad. Boom. Boom. I wonder if it could be slowed down a little bit. Let me see. Maybe more like this. Maybe make him land a little bit later. Maybe have him a little bit. Maybe this. Maybe that's a bit better. Let's have a look at this. It'll slow down. Okay, so that doesn't look too bad to me. Translate. Let's have a look at this again. So I might have him slow down a little bit more. So he lands here. So I'm going to add another key. Keys, insert key tool. Just add another one here. I'm probably going to drop this down a little bit. No, I still want this going ahead. Drop it down a bit just to get an idea how fast is he meant to be going. So maybe he's, you know, he'd be slowing down, so maybe slow him down more. So then we've got this. Okay, so this is essentially the run and the jump. And then we're going to connect this up and everything. So this is what we've got so far. So you've got the run, the jump. This seems to be working. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the decoy in a layer. I'll put the ball, call it decoy. I'll put a new layer, make it this color. Oops, okay, decoy layer. Make it that color, and then I'm just going to make that invisible, and I'll turn this on again. So let's see what we've got. So we've got this. Okay, which obviously I'm not going to have it sticking like this, but that. So then we'll go back to Monty, and let's just say this is kind of working. 1, 2, maybe have them go 1, 2. Let's see, maybe having a bit, going a bit higher here. Just change this up a wee bit, so have it slightly higher off the ground. Maybe have this higher as well. Yeah. And have him leaning further back again. We want more variation, a bit more contrast. So here, again, we can see we've got a 1 frame transition here, which isn't going to look good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a little more like this. So you don't want something changing like this one way and then back again. You want it more that it can change, go in. This is also, I'm going to maybe pull this back so we just don't have these massive changes, and then we can have a 1 frame transition, but he's still going backwards on this, so this should work a little bit better. So you've got this kind of thing, so he's going back and then up. Anyway, so something like that. And then so we've got him going up, and of course we may change the orientation of the body here, rotate X, have this pulling backwards slightly. Let me see, kind of pulling him back a bit, so he's kind of pulling back in midair, you know, way. And then, or actually maybe not as much as that. Maybe it's more in the actual. Maybe I'll have it more when he drops and he lands. Then you've got the kind of pull back. So you've got maybe something a little bit more like this. The landing, he's kind of coming back on himself. And of course you can see the legs are just dragging behind. It's not really, but then the next thing you do is you think about the legs. Oh, actually before we think about the legs, we're going to go into the next bit, which is before we start thinking about the legs. Let's see, 1, 2, he's going to go up. What I would normally do with the legs is I'm going to get some key poses for those. So he's coming off the deck here. What happens? Well, one of the things that happens is when people are doing large jumps in this, often if you look at people doing long jumps, their feet are still kind of cycling almost in midair as they're jumping. So this is what I thought, because he continues running, I'd have for him. So